All right, people, today is another great day. The FedEx man came, and you all know how FedEx deliveries are fantastic. So he came today with something pretty special. This has not been released in the US yet, but people have gotten their hands on them from overseas and things like that. And I am one of them. So Nala is investigating this here package. Haven't even unwrapped it from FedEx yet, so it is definitely my first look at it. So without further ado, I got the unboxing knife, but I don't know if I'm going to need it. Let's open this guy up. And we got a piece of paper. And here we go. It is the Huawei Mate 10 Pro. So I've had other Mate devices before, and they have been some of the best battery life I've ever seen out of a smartphone. They've had fantastic cameras, and they have had some really great software. Emotion UI, which is their skin, similar to what Samsung does with TouchWiz, is not for everybody, but it is getting better. This phone does have Android 8.0 right from the rip, which is great. I don't know if it is Project Treble certified yet or if it plans to be. I know their Mate 9 did get Android 8, so I might lean to say that it might be Treble certified, meaning that this will get updates a lot quicker than what they used to, because Huawei, with many different variants in many different countries, it is very hit or miss on getting an update. So what that card said in the box basically is saying that this phone is not CDMA certified, meaning Verizon and Sprint customers, I'm very sorry, but you're not going to be able to use this device. And I think when it releases in the US, it will be the same way. Let's see what we got here. This is the titanium gray version with 128 gigabytes of storage. And that is all we got on the box. See, it is sealed up. Now we need the knife. So here we go. So I haven't had a Huawei in a wee bit, but they do have some great camera setups. They partner with Leica, which is a well-known camera setup. They make some great DSLR cameras, make some great optics, and they do partner with them. So you see down there, Leica dual camera. So I expect this phone to take some fantastic shots. So here we are. Here is the phone. And one thing that Huawei also does is put a screen protector on it. So a lot of times, some companies do that because they don't have an oleophobic coating on their screen. I don't know if this does or doesn't, but I plan on leaving it on. There's no need to take it off. And here we are on the back. Looks like we got a dual SIM. Has the NFC sensor at the top, fingerprint sensor right below that. Let's take this off right here. So there we go. So this is a all metal and glass, I do believe, similar to the Notes, where it has that metal banding and then a glass back panel. This doesn't have wireless charging, which I am surprised, being that they have glass on it, but not a big deal. You do see the dual cameras up in the top there. So one is a monochrome sensor and one is a RGB sensor. And what they claim is that using two sensors together, it creates a more detailed shot. On the side, we have your power and volume rocker. Power has a little bit of texture to it, so you can find it. The bottom, you have your speaker grill for your down-firing speaker, and you also have your USB-C and your microphone. You also have antenna bands that you see here at the bottom. At the top, something of the days of old, this phone still has a IR blaster. So one of the best things is taking your phone out in a bar and say they're playing something that you really don't like. You can go in there and just change the channel. And it's great watching people wonder what the hell is going on. When the channel starts changing or the volume keeps going up, it's awesome. It's super fun. If you haven't done it, I highly recommend it. So I'm going to set this to the side real quick as we look at what else is in the box. Nice presentation from Huawei. They always have a nice presentation. So we have an international brick. So that is obviously no good for me, but I just so happen to have an extra Huawei supercharged brick in my drawer, so that's super helpful. But being this is an international phone, I expected it to be international brick. So we'll leave that right in there. You have your USB-C to USB-A cord. You also have what should be USB-C, USB-C headphones. So these are very Apple-esque, not really great headphones, but at least they give you some. You have the headphone to USB-C dongle, so in case you want to plug in your own. And one thing Huawei always does, which is always nice, is they do give you a case. So like I've mentioned before in my OnePlus 5, they put a case in their latest packaging. Even though it's not the most protective case, it's usually pretty flimsy, but it is at least something to cover. It's a little frosted. It's got the little cutout for the band. So we'll put that on later. Stick this back in the plastic here like so. You got your SIM tool, some books, warranty card, and I think that is about it. So I'm going to take a second. I'm going to set this phone up real fast, and I'll be back with what we got going on in the new phone. So I will be back in a second. Alright everyone, I am back. It took me a little longer than expected to get this to the United States as far as the settings, the keyboard, the trials and tribulations of getting a international phone. But it is all set up, and after installing all the apps and everything, finding my charger, this phone is super snappy. The screen is nice. It isn't as pixel dense as the Pixel XL is, or Samsung or things like that, but it's a very nice, clean, clear display. This phone so far, I don't see any slow parts of it. I know it was installing a lot of different things at first, so there was that. But it really seems to be good for right now. The thing is with Huawei is they use this emotion UI, right? So you see the icons, and a lot of them do or will continue to look almost iPhone-esque, say like this phone, the gallery, calculator, things like that. You can switch that, say you use Nova Launcher, but then some of the widgets that Huawei uses, like their weather and clock up in the top here, then that doesn't work, as well as their health, which is kind of as comparable to S Health. Now, these have all gotten much better since I first used them. Huawei Health used to be basically just a step counter, and now you can switch it to imperial units. So for us in the States, that's miles and feet rather than meters. Other than that, international phones are a little different. So technically the OnePlus is an international phone, but what happens with that is they reach out to, say, carriers like T-Mobile, and they have their device certified so they can get Wi-Fi calling. You can look up at the top of my screen right now. I have full service on T-Mobile here. So the service isn't an issue, but say Wi-Fi calling or voice over LTE, that is where the difference will take place. So I don't think the phone quality will be bad on this device, but I just don't think it'll have the unique things T-Mobile. Now, with that said, the Google Pixel does. Where I'll say that this phone beats the Google Pixel as far as just in first impressions is this build quality is phenomenal, right? So I think that this phone looks more premium than the Pixel with this really shiny back, how it has this band in the glass. I just think it looks much more premium when these phones are the same price. So I think Huawei definitely has a beat there. I think there's definitely some useful features in Huawei's phones, like the super battery saver. They still have the IR blaster. They have private space, meaning, say you have a nosy girlfriend, nosy friend, or a parent who wants to look at your phone or wants to do something on your phone, take a picture, and then everyone who then takes a picture then scrolls through all your photos. if you set up a different fingerprint, so I have this finger set up for mine, if you set up for this and unlock your phone with it, it basically opens a brand new phone as if you just unboxed it again. And then you go in there, they can snoop all they want and they don't find anything. Another spot right off the rip where I'll see that this will beat the Pixel is the fingerprint sensor. I mean, you basically just have to place your finger on it and it's open. There's almost no animation. It just goes from screen off, screen on. Super fast. It still has everything that's good about Android 8.0 in it. You know, your quick little shortcuts by holding on the icon. I set up Android messages because Huawei's default messaging app isn't the best, and it's fine for just normal text, but if you actually want to do group chats, it doesn't work so good. It sends them individually. People get one message at a time. They send them back, and it doesn't group them. So it just gets kind of awkward. So the one thing that I've always done on Huawei phones when I use them is I always either install Android messages, which it works on this device. On some of them it didn't, which is kind of strange. Or I use Textra, which is another very nice messaging app for a replacement. Other than that, I haven't really taken any photos yet. I have Hopi sitting right in front of me here, so maybe I can snag a photo of her. So the one thing with the Huawei phone is that you can actually go in, similar to Samsung's, and edit your amount of blur after the fact. So you can go in and change it to have it be more or less. So that's helpful. You know, if you don't get it just right, you want it to focus on another area. So for example, here is my microphone, if you can see that. I'm going to focus it on right there. And if you open this slider all the way up, it gets fuzzy for the background. And if you slide all the way out, it gets clear. If you can see it, you know, it's a good effect. Looking at it real quick, the edges get a little bit soft of the microphone, but it's not bad. I've seen some pretty amazing shots taken with this camera in some of my research. You also have a pro mode, so you have all your different settings at the bottom. You just have to swipe up, and everything's right there. Your shutter speed, your ISO, autofocus, white balance, different standard colors. I mean, there is plenty of options when it comes to this. You slide to the right, watermarks, grid, audio control, volume button, shutter. You know, there is a lot of what is going on in this phone. Turn off wide aperture, you're probably going to get more. You have your resolution, which you can go all the way up to the full 20 megapixels, which I would absolutely use. You actually have a RAW support, so if you want to do a lot of editing in Photoshop or Camera Raw or anything like that, touch to capture. So there is definitely plenty of settings, and then you also swipe to the left or to the right, and you have all the other options. So you have monochrome video, HDR, 3D panorama, light painting, slow-mo, document scan, video. Let's see what we got for video options here. You have full HD. You got full HD at 60 frames a second. You got 4K, and you also have some other options too. I believe 4K is 30 frames, so I would leave that on 60 frames. You can see it's nice and smooth as you move the camera around. You also have beauty mode on pretty much every mode in this camera. HDR is an option. So there's that. I'm anxious to see. This was rated right up there close to the Pixel as far as camera quality, so I'm anxious to see that. I'm also anxious to do a quick little speed test as usual to see what is better at opening and closing apps, and hope to get that up soon. So this is my first look. This video is a little longer than normal. My voice is getting shot, so I apologize for that, but this is my first look on the Huawei Mate 10 Pro. This does have waterproofing. It does have dual SIM, no micro SD card slot, fast charge, 18:9 aspect ratio, full 6-inch screen display. So that's that. So this was the Huawei Mate 10 Pro. I hope to do some more videos about it, and we will see you again in the next one. Bye.